First, you must realize that you have no idea before you can know the idea. We scan across all the frequencies if we want to learn anything new. Let us begin.
What has physics done for me lately?
Furthermore, the equation E is equal mc squared.
We have now acquired a fateful power to alter and to destroy nature.
That's like when you're in physics and you go to Dreamworld saying, oh, this is a physics excursion.
Science. What is it all about?
The whole of human history all falls in the dust of one stroke of the nail file. You can't really get to grips with evolution unless you realise what an enormous amount of time.
Our own planet is only a tiny part of the vast cosmic tapestry, a starry fabric of worlds yet untold.
You're tuned into what can only be described as the best radio station. On this blue dot we call Earth, it is of course 4ZZZ, your community broadcaster. Be it on your conventional and wireless radio by tuning into the classic frequency of 102.1 FM, digital devices such as DAB or smart speaker, or listening via the Community Radio Plus app. Also, you can stream us live from our sensational website at 4zzz.org.au, and of course you can always listen back to us or any 4ZZZ show for that matter using the ingenious on-demand feature, also found at that URL. We also now have a weekly podcast of the show for your listening pleasure, curated by Toby, a condensed version of the show without the music, which my mum prefers. Just search for our show name, which is, of course, No Idea, spelt with a K, your weekly dose of science. And joining me for this episode to speak about all things science are two of my favourite science influencers. Good morning, Peter.
Hello.
Good morning, Gabe.
Morning. Max, it is this 671st episode.
We're just keeping count every time.
Yeah,
just in case.
I got it wrong now. I've got a bee in my bonnet, so I'm just going to be mentioning the number every single time. 671.
Yeah.
And I don't have a cool stat about the number today because I got too excited about an email we got through the No Idea inbox.
Yes.
No Idea 4ZZZ@gmail.com if you want to get in touch.
Yeah.
We got an email from Gareth Fraser.
Yes.
He's Dr. Gareth Fraser, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Fraser, welcome to the show.
Who emailed saying, listen to the last episode of Wednesday Morning Science. And just wanted to say, as one of the authors of the Chimera Nose Teeth paper, that you guys nailed it with your description and summary of our work on our Chimera forehead teeth research.
Oh my God, that's so great.
Thank you for covering the work in such a fun and accessible way. Excellent job. Keep up the wonderful communication of science. Well, thank you, Dr. Fraser.
Yeah.
I think that if you want to listen to that one, you can catch it on 4ZZZ.org.au or your podcasting
I'm
apps.
crying.
And if you are a researcher who wants to get in touch about your research or about the show, please do.
And maybe
Hit
to
us
send
up.
us the full paper because it's a real issue here. We don't have full access. So if you are a researcher and you want your work covered, please make sure to send the full paper with it.
The email is on the 4ZZZ website. Max, coming up on this show,
Yes.
I've got a huge update on the Megafauna debate that rages between paleontologists in this country
Oh, God.
about what sent the Megafauna
We just
extinct.
ate it all. We loved it. Yeah.
Max,
No,
I'm
no.
telling you, this update is going to change how you think. Peter, what you got?
I have some sexy things that are going on under the sea that's coming up very soon. And then later, I have something else that's also underwater.
Max?
I got more organic computing or wetware to talk about.
No. Oh, no.
It's all the buzz at the moment because they're trying to offset the energy used on AI, so they can hopefully the wetware will be a cheaper alternative. We'll see.
Can we please call it something else?
What could go wrong? Now, before we start, you know you got your camera upside down for me.
Yes, Max.
It's really important for
It's
everyone to know
very
that too.
amusing.
Rule one of radio is never talk about your surroundings, so glad we're doing that.
Hit us up,
Break
Peter.
that right now.
All right. Talking about weird science and weird visuals. I'm going to say a word, and you're just going to say the first word that comes to your brain after I say it. All right. 1, 2, 3, sponge.
Sponge.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, different. What are some things you think about when you think about sea sponges?
What they look like?
Max essentially just goes, you've just done the exact thing where I said sponge and you were like, sponge.
So, first thing in my head, I just started thinking about cake. But once I got rid of that,
Hopeless.
sponges are pretty amazing organisms in the ocean because they are, each cell is an individual animal. Is that right? It's individual, but then they work together as a colony.
Kind of, yeah.
And then they form and they're able to, they're sort of the early stages of multicellular life.
They are the line between animal and not animal.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is they just inch in on the side of animal because they technically have tissue.
Yeah.
Not tissues like every other animal, not
Just
multiple
the one.
tissues, just a single tissue. They've got tissue. And with tissue, they become animal.
Because that's differentiation in the function of individual cells.
Yes, to an extent, except so there's like, it's really complicated. There's actually debates on whether they're animals or not, which is honestly the most insulting thing I can think of. It's a bunch of scientists debating on whether you're an animal.
And if you stick certain types of marine sponges in a blender, even if you have multiple in them,
You got wetware. Yeah.
You get wetware, Max, and you pour that wetware into some tanks, and the sponges will reassemble themselves.
Really?
Yeah.
They know where they belong.
Genuinely.
Yeah, okay.
Kinda, yeah, and no one really knows why. It's just weird. But apparently that doesn't matter to some because sponges are super sexy and not to other sponges, to female humpback dolphins. Yeah.
Wow. Is it bestiality if it's not taxonomically an animal?
We're not getting, no, okay. Yeah, actually, good question, but not what we're talking about here. So, a little while ago, scientists from WA's Department of Biodiversity Conservation and Attractions were off of WA's Burrup Peninsula and they were trying to get DNA samples from humpback dolphins below. Do you guys know what this is? This is like a kind of an up-and-coming thing.
Jeez. Okay.
Samples from humpback dolphins blow.
Yeah, do you know what it's essentially snot.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Is this a new smuggling ring? Driven by
We need a content warning
animals?
on this. What's going on?
No content warning. No, it's that's the name of their
Just
like
that they're
breathe
picking
out.
Up, it's picking up the stuff
It's like
they
mucus.
blow out, which
Yes.
Yeah.
which contains info about what's in
For
them.
whales, one of the ways they do this is drones, and they have like fancy drone flyers, and they come and they like swoop down into
With a
the blow
bucket.
with like petri dishes. No, a bucket. What am I going to do with a bucket? Jeez. Yeah, well, anyway, they were trying to do that. But while they were out there, they were trying to study their genetics. Humpback dolphins are very interesting and their populations are going down. But while they were out there, they witnessed something much cooler. They said they were actually so surprised that, in their words, they usually turn the sound down on the videos because they're all squealing and exclaiming so loudly that you can't tell what's going on, which is adorable, in my opinion. I love when scientists are excited about their own work. I don't know why we hide it. But what's behind all of this excitement? Male humpback dolphins finding and presenting sponges to potential mates, like gifts. Sometimes, and this is the really fun bit where you see it on the photos, they would even parade around with the sponges on their heads.
Yeah, saw that. That was great fun. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've seen the pictures of
This
this.
is where
They're
I
just
thought
like,
it was leading. Yeah, okay.
this is it. They're going around, sponges on their heads. And according to Dr. Holly Rodino, who's the senior research scientist at the department, only male dolphins were performing the behaviour, so that's why they're pretty sure it's sexual.
Oh.
It was only the male dolphins.
Find them sexy as an accessory.
Yes.
And or a gift.
A gift.
And or a gift. So it's like, in my opinion, it's kind of like flowers. You
go
can present
picking
flowers,
sponges.
Chocolate.
or you could just wear them all over your head. And I feel like
Life
that's
is
simply
like a
cool.
blended up bowl
Ready for the
of
races.
sponges. You never know what's
Yeah.
going to pop out.
Exactly. The sponges are all different shapes, colours, sizes, species, doesn't matter. They're just picking up random sponges. They are all sponges, though, which is interesting. And even though the humpback dolphin is actually found elsewhere, the behaviour is super rare. It's only found in a couple of populations.
Do they like certain types? They really like the red ones?
They don't know
or
yet
the-
because they've only seen it like 3 times.
We want to know
So it's a bit
more.
hard to tell what they like. I will say, in the photos, they were mainly greeny, yellow, brown.
See, I can see an Ig Nobel Prize
Yeah,
on the
very much
horizon
so.
here, Max. It's
And-
been the season. We've just had it. I can see this, like the sponge color preference
Significance,
of
yes.
humpback dolphins.
Likeability.
In sexual relations. Yeah, exactly. Which colour sponge helps humpback dolphins get it on?
This is it.
That's the title. You're welcome. Ig Nobel Prize for the WA Department of Conservation. And so it's only been seen in the Dampier and Exmouth Gulf in the Pilbara region, and then Kimberley Coast, so much further north. So
Yep.
there's 2 different populations have been seen doing it. But they haven't seen it in any other species of dolphin or region. It's very, very specific. However, dolphins have been seen doing other things with sponges, even as close by as Shark Bay. Bottlenose dolphins are known to use sponges as tools.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You never know with dolphins what it's going to be, do you, Max?
They are little freaks. They're little freaks with some weird ideas. So this one is not that freaky. The behavior is known as sponging. Really creative there.
Sponging.
Great. And they carry a sponge on their snout to protect themselves from sharp coral and rocks while they're foraging. So they can flush out fish hiding in the seabed and things like that, and then like in little nooks and crannies without scratching their little snouts, you know, because the sponges are soft. Which I think is very cute. It's one of the best known examples of tool use in marine mammals. It was first recorded in the 1980s, so it's a long
Very
time ago.
similar sort of idea to the first tool use recorded in any other animal, which was those chimpanzees we talked about a few weeks ago with the fishing for
with the
termites
sticks,
with a
but
stick.
they use the stick to get them out, right? This
Yeah.
is to protect themselves while they're fishing.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
essentially like if they stuck their schnoz in
But it's
without
still
it, you
using
get
it
a
to sort of
scratch.
push into gaps and
Yeah, I guess.
flush food
Yeah,
out.
yeah. It's practiced by about 40 dolphins out of 3,000. Nearly all of them are females. The behavior is passed down from mother to calf. It's a social learning sort of thing. One famous individual, Bite Fluke, great name, by the way. Cool name. She sounds really sick, like she goes to raves. She's 52 and she has been sponging for at least 40 years. So that's really cool. And so, yeah, it's sort of showing this contrast of humpback dolphins are using it as like a sexual display, whereas the bottlenose dolphins in Shark Bay are using it as a tool for female hunting. The sad news is that the only reason these photos of the sexy sponges has resurfaced, because this was a little while ago now, is because last week the humpback dolphin was uplisted within our national environment laws to vulnerable. They now have less than 10,000 mature adults in the wild. So the researchers are really hoping that this spurs some interest into humpback dolphins, because they are kind of fun. They're a cool dolphin. They've got like a funky little humpback. They're smaller. They're kind of cute. And maybe even some research funding into behaviors like this. Maybe we can get some funding to find out the sexual preference of humpback dolphins, sea sponges. Which colour sea sponges help humpback dolphins get it on? Let's fund it, people, and figure out how we can help them keep getting it on. That's the aim.
Cool. DJ Oz texted in and they say, this is the missing item in the 4ZZZ merch range. We should have a
you're so right.
a 4ZZZ
range of
sponge.
sponges.
When you're in the
Like
shower and
nice
you
little
all you
hat.
think about, maybe put a radio inside it too. There you go.
Oh, I was thinking fully like let's just make sponge hats because I'd wear them.
Yeah, well, that's,
but not with
yeah.
real sponges, fake sponges.
True. Okay. And DJ Oz said that they would wear them. Is that
Hell
it?
yeah.
Is that it for the humpback
That's all I've got. I mean, if you
dolphins?
want to talk about how you've been wearing sponges to attract mates, Max, we can talk about that, but I don't know if it's highly relevant to the science show.
Hit us up, Gabe. Or not.
Max, I'm here.
Good.
Oh, give him a second. Jesus. Hit us up, Gabe. All right, and now we're going into the science. Straight away with the science. This is how we're going to go.
Max, lead. Let's talk about lead. We were going to get into this last week and we ran out of time, so we're getting into it now. We have this idea that lead poisoning is a relatively recent phenomenon. We know it leads to gastrointestinal issues, neuromuscular issues, neurological issues when we consume
Didn't they
it.
all have it in like the 18th century when they were licking hats? Is that the
Right,
whole
but
thing about
that's
the
still
Mad Hatter?
pretty modern, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay, fair enough.
So,
Yes, I see what you mean.
the idea is that it was during the Roman era, which is when lead pipes were first introduced to a large group of people, large number of people,
That's why they stabbed Caesar.
for water systems, and later during the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
And then it's only in the late 1900s, really, that lead pollution has substantially declined, and across most of the world, it has substantially declined since then.
Yeah, it has.
But is it true that that's where lead poisoning began? This new research has found that there might actually be a massive role of lead in the evolution of humans for many, many, many more years.
That's why we do the things we do.
They looked at 51 fossil teeth from early humans, early human ancestors. I think the oldest one was about 2 million years old, but some are much younger than that, as well as things closely related to humans, including orangutans. So they looked at a wide range of different species from across Asia, Africa, and Europe is where they originate. They did use some of the orangutan teeth were from Perth Zoo.
Okay.
So,
When did they lose them?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe when they deceased,
When they went to
their
the
bodies
dentist.
get donated to science, or maybe when they go to the dentist, Max.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
never
being
know.
the orangutan dentist and you're like doing a procedure and someone's like, knock, knock. Hi, sorry. Do you mind if I take those teeth?
I try really
take them
hard.
home.
I try really hard in these stories to be primed for whatever wacky question one of you two is going to throw at me, so I have the answer. I didn't get the answer to the question, where did the orangutan's tooth... I figured out where the orangutan was from. I didn't figure out where they got the tooth
When they
from.
took the tooth. At what point?
They hit them with these really fine lasers. They're finer than a strand of hair. They scan each tooth doing this with these lasers, layer by layer, and so they can get this 3D reconstruction of the tooth with all of the growth rings through it. The teeth have evidence of what we've been consuming as they grow and put on those layers, so they're able to look at the chemical signatures in there. What they found was that 73% of those 51 specimens had evidence of lead exposure. So even hundreds of thousands of years ago, potentially millions of years ago, there was evidence of lead exposure in 73%,
Like
so
more than
nearly
we have now?
3/4 of them. We'll get into the levels.
Okay.
But they just showed it was there, right? Like, lead's not something you come across easily. So the fact that it's there is really interesting. And it shows, they say, that it wasn't just rare or accidental levels, it was or occurrences. It was occurring repeatedly over time. To get to the levels, they say there's similar lead levels to human teeth from people born in the 1940s to 1970s in the US, when those industrial sources were at sort of their peak.
But not
things
now.
like leaded automobile fuel and leaded paint were prevalent and persistent. So that's chronic exposure in some of these samples to lead. And yeah, I did actually get where they got the human teeth from. That's what I thought you'd ask me about. I didn't think you'd ask me about the orangutan.
Nah, human teeth
So
are
I'm
a
gonna
dime a
say
dozen.
it,
Who cares about
because
that?
I went in and figured out where they got these human teeth from.
Yeah.
They came from the Mount Sinai School of Medicine in New York City.
Yes.
And at a guess, I'd say they got the teeth from the attached hospital when they do extractions. I'm not going to rule out, though. They didn't specifically say where the teeth came from, so I'm not
Maybe
going to
they
rule
stole
out
them.
that they're just standing outside with a pair of pliers on the streets of New York.
Random.
They're actually in dealings with the tooth fairy. So every time she collects them, she gives them to this lab. That's how
right,
it works.
Yeah.
That's right. They did find that the cumulative lead in teeth from prehistoric humans, so that includes non-Homo sapien species, prehistoric humans, was highly variable, but it was generally lower than modern humans. So there were some that were sort of similar to levels that we may have seen in the 1900s, but most of it was lower. The question there then becomes, where does this come from? What they're finding is
Licking
obviously not
caves.
from mining, it's not from smelting, it's not from things that modern humans have gotten it from. It's probably coming from natural sources like volcanic dust, lead-rich soils, groundwater flowing through lead-bearing rocks in caves. They think could be a big one.
licking caves.
Drinking that water that is otherwise probably pretty pure, but coming through lead, and so it's got lead in the water. And then during times of drought or food shortages, humans may have even dug for water or eaten plants and roots that had absorbed lead from the soil.
Yeah.
So that's the sources there. And obviously it wouldn't have been every human or early human or human
Seems
relative.
like that's a lot, though.
Yeah, a decent chunk of this is happening. And then what they did, Max, is try to figure out what sort of impacts this may have had on the developing human brain.
Yeah.
Do you remember last week you talked about brain organoids for your
Yes.
wetware stuff and how they're basically growing, using stem cells to grow tiny little bits of human brain tissue?
Yep.
They did the exact same thing for this, or very similar thing for this, and grew some of those brain organoids and exposed them to various levels of lead. And also we're looking at a particular gene that coordinates early neurodevelopment. So they're really important in early brain development, called NOVA1, Neuro-Oncological Ventral Antigen 1. You okay with that acronym?
Yeah,
Good.
I'm cool with that.
Passes?
Passes. Also, it's just kind of boring, so, good for them.
Some of these brain organoids got a modern human version of the gene. Others got a version that was similar to what our ancestors like Neanderthals had. They were some of the teeth that they included in the first bit of the study. Because pretty much every modern human carries a version of the NOVA1 gene that differs by a single DNA base pair from the version found in Neanderthals. And it radically changes how lead impacts our early neurodevelopment. They found massive differences. The organoids with the ancient gene, so the one that we don't have, showed clear signs of stress to lead exposure. And they found the neural connections weren't forming as efficiently in these brain organoids, and key pathways linked to communication and social behavior were disrupted.
So we would have been even weirder if we were Neanderthals.
Yeah.
Or if you get some sort of mutation.
The brain organoids that have the modern one with that one base pair mutation were way more resilient to the lead exposure in these brain organoids. And then the other thing is only the archaic version of the gene, the old one, the Neanderthal one, and our ancestors one, had changes from the lead exposure to the alteration of another gene that's crucial for speech and language. So this gene, they say, effectively, potentially, because we had lead exposure, there was an evolutionary benefit to having this one base pair change
being
in the
resilient
gene, and increases our resilience to lead exposure. But it has this side effect of changing the development of our neurocomplexity, speech and language in particular, and may have fed into been one of the many contributing factors into, as a side effect, increase complexity in our language, in our communication, and then led to
us being able to actually articulate that lead is the thing that's
so the version of the gene of this gene in modern humans, Nova1, that plays a role in neurodevelopment, shields us from some of the effects of lead poisoning and increases the complexity in our brains at the same time. So just, incredible. And I remember it reminded me of the stuff I was reading for the Dr. Jane Goodall stories we were doing when she passed away, and how her big thing, I remember a couple of interviewers asked her about what is the difference between humans and animals, and her main thing is the intellect, and they go, well, why is our intellect so much better? And she says language. We can communicate the idea, and then that just that feedback loop just lets it builds and builds and builds and builds.
We are able to stand on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
Pretty well.
Exactly right. And so these days, despite decades of bans and regulations, there is still lead poisoning as a global health issue.
Yeah.
UNICEF estimates that 1 in 3 children worldwide still have blood levels high enough to cause harm. And it's clear that, even though this research is showing that lead has been a big part of human evolution, or at least a long-standing part of human evolution for at least a couple 100,000 or million years. And we do have these, at least this one gene, this one mutation that helps us defend the development of our brain against lead poisoning. The amount we get through non-natural sources it's this classic thing, right? Of we've now gone past what we're naturally capable of dealing with at some level.
Probably chill out a bit.
And so it's still a big issue for a lot of people around the world. But just goes to show this. We thought lead was just a part of our recent history since the Romans, and it turns out it's been part of human evolution for much, much longer. The iPad generation, criticisms there.
Gen Alpha.
And they found that babies and toddlers exposed to television or video viewing may be more likely to exhibit atypical sensory behaviors, like being disengaged, disinterested in activities, seeking more intense stimulation in the environment. A lot of these things that we think of over the airwaves. We have a small little base.
They're coming to get you, Gabe.
They are coming to get me.
All those iPad kids.
They found your lair.
They want their iPads back.
Yeah. You tuned to 4ZZZ, the show's No Idea. With me, Max. We've got Issy in the room.
Hello.
We've got Gabe. We've got Peta.
Hello.
And it's part 3 of this. As we heard last week, the new normal is that there's 3 types of computerware. There's hardware, there's software, and now there's wetware.
How much are we stretching the word normal here? I don't really have a bank of brains in a fridge ready to power my laptop, but
exactly.
Maybe you do.
For those unfamiliar with the term wetware, it is the novel use of organic grown materials to replace non-organic materials currently found in computers. Last week, I spoke about wetware that could potentially replace a computer's central processing unit, or CPU. Basically, they're clumps of so-called senseless human brain cells networked together, known as organoids. For those who missed it, here's a bit of a sample. The organoids, which Final Spark say lack pain receptors, comprise around 10,000 neurons.
Oh my God.
For comparison, the human brain has around 100 billion. They are kept in an incubator with a screen attached that monitors their health. They are fed with a constant supply of nutrient-rich fluid, which sees them living for around 6 months. Wetware technology, putting aside the ethical concerns, is at least 20 years away from replacing current hardware, if ever. And here's the kicker. When researchers open the door to the incubator, lines suddenly start spiking on the attached screen, to which Final Spark freely admits they still have no idea how their organoids are able to detect the door opening.
No.
Ew. What?
So this week, I've turned my attention
Hate that. Love so much.
To another type of wetware, this time computer memory. Researchers from the Ohio State University QS ranking.
180.
420.
200.
We'll go with Gabe. It's 190.
Nice.
Recently discovered that common fungi, such as shiitake mushrooms, can be grown and trained to act as organic, non-volatile RAM. The study has been published in the journal...
Immediately stop. Immediately stop. You're telling me that when I'm editing a video, I can store some of that in a mushroom?
Yes, you can, yeah.
I love that.
Hell yes!
It remembers electrical states, so yeah. So fungal electronics is not a new concept, but it has become an ideal candidate for developing a sustainable computing architecture. Being biodegradable, they are naturally they minimise e-waste and are cheaper to fabricate than conventional memristors and semiconductors, which often require expensive rare earth minerals and high amounts of energy from data centres. To explore...
I love that.
Sorry, guys, my computer's a bit slow. The mycelium's just a bit warm.
They're cooked.
There's a photo on there.
They're cooked.
I needed buttered mushrooms for breakfast this morning. I had to delete last year's photos.
To explore fungal flash memory capabilities, researchers cultured samples of shiitake and button mushrooms. Once mature, they were dehydrated and connected to special circuit boards. They were then subjected to various voltages and frequencies. After 2 months of testing, the researchers found that the mushroom-based computer memory could switch between electrical states for up to 6,000 times per second with a 90% accuracy. Although performance decreased as higher electrical loads were applied, the team could mitigate by connecting multiple mushrooms to restore stability.
It's like when you link hands with your friends and you touch an electric fence, you know?
Yep.
Except it's mushrooms. Also, quick caveat. Does anyone else remember that research from like 2000 where they were like, oh, when we electrocuted plants and mushrooms, we found out that they screamed?
Yes. Yeah, the
Anyone else remembering that right now and just imagining the mushrooms like screaming but in data?
Overall, the research demonstrates how surprisingly easy it is to program and preserve mushrooms to behave as non-volatile memory. Organic memory is still in its infancy, but future work could optimise the production process by improving cultivation techniques and miniaturising the devices. To commercialise, fungal memristors would need to be far smaller than what researchers achieved in this study. So, yeah, that's all we got going on.
Can't you just grow the mushrooms smaller then?
Potentially, yeah.
Don't let them grow as big. It's like button mushrooms versus portobellos. Just cut them off.
That's right.
Seems like the issue is solved.
Yeah.
Do you know what tuna is?
Fish.
It's fish!
Thank God someone's working on this. I don't know what I'd do without it.
Fish are friends, not food.
Great start.
Gabe, what does the cat say?
Yeah.
Max, what does the chicken say?
Take us away, Peter.
And Issy, what does the shark
All right, everyone. How will you know how old a fish is?
You ask.
That's probably the polite thing to do
What's
first.
that?
You're right, Izzy. Ask.
Ask it. See. I mean, some fish can count, so maybe they'd let you know, but
If it
I think
doesn't
it would be
respond,
difficult.
then I think you have to fall back to what I believe the scientific method is, which is killing the fish and removing his ear bone.
And count the rings.
Yes.
Didn't you do something recently about a couple of species where they could do something that didn't require killing the fish?
Yeah,
as
it was
well?
in the fins from memory. They could look at things in growth in their fins. But otolith, it's called an otolith, the bone in their ear. Otolith measurement is the main thing. Like a tree, you count the rings.
Yeah.
But yes, as Gabe pointed out, you do have to dig around a little bit to get it. Personally, when I did this in university, it was one of the grossest things I've ever had to do, because you have a dead fish and you have to go in through the gills and then like really genuinely dig around in its skull until you find a bone that is so small, it's smaller than a grain of rice. It's just above a grain of sand, honestly. It's so small. So, personally, not a huge fan of doing it myself, but it is still like one of the leading ways we age fish, if of course you don't have it in a tank the entire time. So yeah, that's technically how you do it, and genuinely, because it is so small, one of the ways you have to count those rings is once you clean it off and you get it all ready, and you have to be really delicate with them because they are tiny and you don't want to remove those very small rings. You then put it under a microscope and you literally count the rings on the fish. That is the traditional method of doing it, but it kind of fails to reveal fine details, and especially in ancient or degraded samples of otoliths, because they can do this with otolith bones that they find in the fossil record, which is very cool. Many times you kind of can't also because they're very degraded. Like I said, they're super, super fragile. So a team of researchers from Uppsala University in Sweden, QS ranking please.
600.
550.
250.
128, everybody. You got to take that US bias we have and put it onto Sweden. They're out here doing things. They wanted to find a way to see the growth increments.
Yeah.
Well, fish were already dead for most of these, and some of them were dead for a very long time. So don't worry. They wanted to see the growth increments more clearly, especially in fossil specimens, so that scientists can better estimate age, growth rates, and all sorts of other things. So they compared modern and fossil otoliths from several species, including the black goby, which is found in the northern Adriatic Sea. And they actually used a very well-known technique from geology. So they had a bunch of different scientists on this project from all different backgrounds, and the geologists were like, why don't we try backscatter electron imaging? The way this works is essentially when you fire electrons at things, they actually reflect differently by different structures within materials. So then when you capture that difference, you can see super, super, super small patterns in these bones. And then like any changes to the calcium carbonate, like lithography or like the type of the way that it's been laid down can be seen, especially when you look at it through an electron microscope. Not going through light microscopy anymore. We're going through electron microscopy with fire electrons at it. So we're going like teeny tiny little details. And the cool thing is that the approach worked for both modern and fossilized otoliths. So the one key thing here is that the modern ones have a different they're made out of a different chemical than the old ones. So the fossilized ones would be calcium carbonate because they've been fossilized, whereas the new ones are made out of like the bone material. I think it's called argonite or something like that. So they're actually physically different materials, which is interesting, but it works on both of the materials. It works for both modern and fossilized. And by fine-tuning the imaging settings, the researchers were able to see extremely small bands of growth rings, like 275 times more growth rings than standard imaging techniques would allow. And they even got this detail in the fossilized otoliths that had been buried in the seafloor for more than 7,600 years. You could be dead for nearly 8,000 years and they might be able to figure out how long you lived for, which is very, very cool. But by far, the coolest thing that I thought they did was that they discovered they could not only identify the annual growth increments, which is what we usually look at, and you see that by the winter-summer differentiation. That's usually why the growth rings appear. They actually saw daily growth cycles, and they even discovered extremely fine, regularly spaced structures that appear in much shorter intervals than a day. They suggest that they follow a biological rhythm. They have no idea what causes them. Isn't that crazy? So this bone is growing or changing within a day, multiple times in a repeatable pattern.
Whoa.
But we have no idea why. So that's the big mystery that's been uncovered here. Really interesting is like, what is this daily pattern? What could it be driven by? Also, still just really cool they did this because the incredible level of detail means that they can get an idea of the feeding, the movement, environmental changes, stresses that fish were exposed to. Like, it really opens the door up way past just like, how long did they live for and did they have an off summer or two? It's turned into like, okay, how were their days? You know, like what were they stressing about at this point in time? Bridges a major gap between modern and fossil fish studies, which means that we can now like directly compare growth rates and life histories through geological time, which is huge. Like, cannot stress how huge that is. And it's also non-destructive. So it means that when we're doing that stuff with the light microscopy and we're like, you know, cleaning it, one of the other ways they did to find more detailed stuff with the otoliths is that actually do like etching or cutting off thin sections to look at them, which obviously damages the specimens. So this is non-destructive, meaning you can use the same sample over and over again. Really cool. And it opens new opportunities to look at ancient fish ecology and climate variability and all these really, really useful things. So super cool. Opens a door to a bunch of new research. Very exciting. My focus is going to remain on this big new question mark of what is this daily pattern that all of these fish are going through, because what if we have it too, you know? Incredible. That's my marine science.
Brilliant.
What do the next 50 years of 4ZZZ sound like? We have no idea.
You're tuning to 4ZZZ. and the show's No Idea. With me, Max. We got Issy, we got Gabe, and it's his
Okay, it's time for the best part of the show. Loosely defined as science, yeah, you already know. Everybody listens to 4ZZZ just to hear us talking about what Butters just did. Subscriptions just keep rolling like the tires on a car. But something tells me that our science curves won't go far. But unlike an engine, I won't keep you in suspension. We're all here to hear him talk, so let's give him attention. You're not ready for when he starts rapping. Gonna hand the mic to Max, and I'm not talking Van Stappen.
And you may have heard the baby harp seal go off because Marcus from Newstead subscribed. Thank you very much.
On you, Marcus.
Yeah, job done. F1 did happen on the weekend. It was in Mexico.
Yeah, it was.
The race saw the biggest margin between first and second this year. McLaren's and Lando Norris won by a whopping 30 seconds from Ferrari's Charles Leclerc and Red Bull's Max Verstappen rounding out the podium. Aussie Oscar Piastri finished fifth, which means he has to relinquish the championship for the moment until the next round. He is now exactly 1 point behind his teammate Lando Norris. Any comments about the race?
This was an interesting race, of course. Whether it was the allegations that the cars were more lawnmowers with the amount of times that they spun off or drove into the grass. The first turn, of course, causing some controversy. I don't know how I feel. Obviously, it's being an Aussie supporting Oscar Piastri. You've really got to back him up. But Ollie Behrman coming in fourth
in the Haas.
Yeah, which is incredible, and him keeping pace is incredible. So this was a really interesting event, a real kind of up in the air. You had no idea what was happening. I felt for Charles Leclerc, though, the most. The idea of seeing Max Verstappen inching closer and closer and closer, and watching that gap between him and Lando get wider and wider as Verstappen gets closer and closer, literally had me on the edge of my feet. My palms were sweaty. So I think this was a fantastic race, but oh my God.
Then the virtual safety car came out, which just neutralised everything.
Yeah, so anticlimactic.
But 4 cars into one corner, into the first corner, as you said, they were all off into the grass or wherever they were going. They didn't touch, which was very impressive. But I don't think Ferrari's Lewis Hamilton should have got the 10-second penalty for what he did.
Yes, and meanwhile Max Verstappen didn't.
Yeah.
And a lot of...
Maybe he should have let Max Verstappen pass him, though, because he did take an advantage by leaving the track. That's my only thing. And I don't know why his engineer didn't say, just let Max Verstappen pass and it'll just neutralise everything, rather than suffering a 10-second stop-go, which is like 20 seconds in reality for driving into the pits and stopping. So, yeah, I don't know. Gabe?
No, nothing more. It was interesting that, like Oscar Piastri, the Aussie, he's been leading the championship for most of the season.
Yes.
And by a decent margin for a lot of it. And I think if you'd come in and said he would come out of this race a point behind, you would have gone, that's a pretty bad performance.
That's right.
But for the recovery that it was, he sort of saved some face a bit, didn't he? With pulling it back to just being a point difference rather than being significantly behind his teammate at McLaren, Lando Norris.
Because he's not driving the car as well as he was at the beginning of the year, so he would have got some good practice laps in during the race. Because they're not allowed to test that much. So, yeah. So hopefully that augurs well for the next weekend. NASCAR Cup also happened on the weekend. It was at Martinsville Speedway. It was on an oval short track. Former supercar champion Shane Van Gisbergen finished 14th overall, which is a pretty good result and bodes well for next year. Supercars also happened on the Gold Coast. Couldn't make it because we had Z50 on.
True.
But there were 2 races, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. On the streets of the Gold Coast, races 28 and 29. You got to go on the racetrack.
I did.
On Monday.
Booked a little staycation in the Gold Coast, so it was really nice watching, obviously, the supercars and knowing that you could probably hear them. And then on Monday, when I was there, we took a wrong turn, my partner and I, and we ended up on the now deconstructing supercar circuit, and so did the rest of the Gold Coast as well.
A few hot laps.
We did a few hot laps, which was really sick, but oh my God, did it cause a stir. I think them packing down disturbs a few traffic lights as well. So there was just like cops guiding everyone. It was really cool for the 5 minutes that we were there, and then the 20 minutes stuck in traffic afterwards.
Ford Mustang driver Chaz Mostert, he won both races to a frustrated Brock Feeney driving his Red Bull 2 more race weekends to go this season before we welcome a third manufacturer to the grid in 2026.
Whoa.
Toyota is going to join. So
nice.
And Toyota already have a V8 because they race in NASCAR. So job done. And MotoGP, Pete, you're listening. It happened in Malaysia at the Sepang International Circuit where they used to race Formula One. Sad face. The race was won by Spaniard Alex Marquez, the younger brother of Marc Marquez, riding a Ducati. Aussie Jack Miller, riding a Yamaha, earned 2 points for his 14th. No, he finished 14th, yeah. So is that a Miller special if he gets the points? Okay, let's say so.
Yep. It all counts.
When's the next race? What are we up to? We're up
couple
to
of weeks
Brazil.
away. So there's no the next MotoGP is Portugal actually in 2 weeks, 7th to the 10th. Same with the F1, same weekend, and then there's no F1 Academy, Sail GP or Supercars for a couple more weeks.
F1 goes to Brazil, don't we? Is that the next race weekend? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, okay. Megafauna, let's do it, Gabe.
Max, yes, let's do it. If you weren't aware, we've talked about it a lot on this show, but Australia's reputation for being full of the deadliest animals that you've ever seen is just so much tamer.
Really scraping the surface.
Than it was 60,000 years ago to about 2 million years ago or 2.5 million years ago. The period before humans properly got going on the Australian continent was even more terrifying. There were giant wombats, or wombat adjacents, we should call them, called Diprotodon, at most 2.8 tons, 4 meters long. They went extinct about 25,000 years ago. Giant goannas called Megalania, which were maybe 5 meters long, went extinct about 40,000 years ago. Marsupial lions called Thylacolea.
They're really cool.
1.5 meters long, 75 centimeters tall at the shoulder, up to 160 kilos, and went extinct about 35 to 45,000 years ago.
Was the Ninja Turtle in the same period?
Yeah. The giant.
The Ninja Turtle. It's genuinely called the Ninja Turtle.
Murder ducks, thunderbirds, all of it. Giant kangaroos like Prosoptodon, Goliath.
Did they wear bandanas or?
Not that I'm aware of.
They don't preserve very well, Max, so we wouldn't know. And giant kangaroos up to 2 meters tall, 200 kilos, went extinct about 15,000 years ago. Now, if you've noticed anything about those dates, it does align suspiciously with the arrival of the first humans on the Australian continent, roughly 60 and a bit thousand years ago, with widespread human occurrence occurring, kind of 40 to 60,000 years ago across various parts of the continent. And so this has set the scene for a huge paleontological debate. If you want to see scientists tear each other to shreds in peer-reviewed text, go read Megafauna science papers about the Australian megafauna.
Paleontology is just...
They don't just attack their science. They'll attack each other's intelligence at the conclusions they've drawn. They go hard in this stuff.
I love academic
They're really personal.
And we've dipped into this before, but it rages on this debate on what sent... that we know definitely that a lot of megafauna went extinct long before humans arrived, because there's been a huge cycles in ice ages going on across this what's called the Pleistocene period from 2.5 million years ago to about 12,000 years ago, and that has caused a lot of aridification across it, which drove a lot when the continent gets arid, it can't support as much vegetation.
Meaning dry.
Dry means less vegetation. Less vegetation means less and smaller vertebrates and herbivores, and then as a result smaller and less predators. So, but these ones did definitely coexist with humans for at least a time.
Which is sick. Like, let's just first of all take a pause to say how cool is it that Aboriginal people were living with giant diprotodons, ninja turtles. I don't know which ones went extinct when, but at least diprotodons and big birds and all sorts of cool stuff.
And so there's this debate raging on what made these last megafauna kick the bucket. Was it the climate-driven changes, or was it the humans hunting them into extinction? Keep in mind that megafauna still exists. Grey kangaroos, red kangaroos, emus, cassowaries, all of those things would count as megafauna if they had gone extinct. They are megafauna now. But one of the key, probably the key piece of information or evidence supporting the idea that early indigenous Australians, first peoples, directly hunted megafauna is this one leg bone from a giant kangaroo. In 1980, some paleontologists published a paper about this bone because on its surface are really complex cuts. They said in this early research that the cuts must be human-made. That's pretty solid. But
Yeah.
it's like a human cut. They've looked at all sorts of other things. It's not a thylacolea bite mark, the marsupial line. It's a human cut. And therefore, humans must have been feeding on these animals. It looks like someone's tried to cut through to the bone marrow, right? And get into it as they're feeding on it.
Hell yeah.
And therefore, it's this key link between human presence, hunting, extinction of the animals,
Yes,
right? Because
yeah.
this is one of the giant kangaroos that went extinct, and one of the biggest of them, if not the biggest. We now have new technologies, though. We're 45 years on, so they tested it again. They put the very same bone. It's a fossil. Keep in mind, it's not actual bone. It's now a fossil. It's minerals that have replaced the structure of the bone, but they put it into a micro CT scan, and it's similar to the scan that you'll get if you go to get a scan done of your back or something.
You've had a couple.
Had many. And then they put it in there and they revealed something pretty amazing. The scan showed 2 types of internal cracks in this fossilized bone. Do you want to have a guess at why there'd be 2 different types of cracking going on and what may have
One would have
caused
been
them?
killing it. And
Okay.
then,
And then
the one
maybe
eating it.
extraction. Something
Yeah.
about when they dug it up in the 80s.
Oh,
Maybe.
extraction, yeah.
Because you always have to think about how you affect the fossil.
Yes,
So that's my guess. Is maybe
exactly.
it's us in the present
Yeah.
affecting the fossil.
Maybe.
So what they know is there was calcium on the outside of the fossil. This is a normal thing that happens during fossilization. The initial cut marks lie below that. So you know the cut marks were there
At the time of
after the
fossilization.
calcium formed. But the first type of crack, the main crack along this leg bone, these long cracks that run, they're all internal, but they run down the whole length of the bone. So if you were holding like a rolling pin in your hand, imagine it has a hollow core. The ones that run from your left to your right hand down the length, those are the ones that occur during fossilization. So it's the fossils shrink as part of the process of fossilizations, and that causes cracks in the bits of pressure and it cracks. So it goes down the length from one hand to the other if you're holding it in your left and right hand. And then the second type of crack occurs only under the area which has been cut. Good evidence that it's some sort of impact, like the pressure of rubbing the whatever cutting implement against it caused this crack. However, the crack runs the opposite way. So it sort of runs, if you're holding that rolling pin in your hands, it would run from like your chest out within the bone under the surface. But it tapers when it hits the ones longitudinally running from
So
your
the
left
ones that
to
were
right.
longitudinal were there first, which means that they were cutting this after it had been fossilized.
Bang on. So they found that
that's cool.
That because this crack has been is impacted by the longitudinal ones, we know to reverse engineer it. We know the longitudinal ones form after it's become a fossil, and for this crack to taper out when it hits them, it must form after that. So it must have formed after it became.
So someone came
a fossil.
along, found the bones, and were like, "Well, I'll use this for something." But they weren't necessarily. Well, they probably weren't hunting it, because why would you hunt a fossil?
Exactly right. So it rules out that this is hunting or feeding related. This is an Indigenous Australian who has been cutting into this when it was already a fossil, and the exact reason behind why we may never know. We probably will never know.
It could just be for fun. That's what we do.
Fossils have been. There is previous evidence of fossils being part of collecting and trade in a lot of different Indigenous cultures around the continent. They talk about specifically in the 1960s, there was a gift given to an anthropologist called Kim Akerman by the First Peoples in the Kimberley region, and it contained a charm which had a tooth of an extinct diprotodon.
Oh, cool.
And they also had an emu feather parcel with teeth which turned out to be from a extinct giant Megafauna kangaroo, similar to the one that the bone they're looking at was from. So they know, and they also know that those 2 things come from Mammoth Cave, which is not in the Kimberley up in the north of WA. It's down in the south of WA, Mammoth Cave, 2,000 kilometres south. So that's trade, probably, right, between Indigenous peoples before colonisation. The fossils were traded up the coast, and Mammoth Cave happens to also be where this leg bone is from that they found the cuts in.
Oh, nice.
So it is a very strong link that this was related to maybe collecting or just interest or whatever it may have been, cultural reasons, who
Research.
knows? Yep. Or just a fascination with these things that are in their stories or present in the landscape, potentially even at that time, because they've dated this to about 37,000 years ago, these fossils deposits. And so they say it's this fossilized bone with cut marks isn't evidence that First Nations people helped send megafauna extinct. It's much more likely evidence that there's been human interest in looking at megafauna fossils long before white paleontologists arrived on the continent. And I want to mention Professor Mike Archer, who's probably Australia's most respected and well-known paleontologist. He was one of the authors on the original paper. He's also the lead author on this new paper.
Oh, we love correcting a mistake.
And he
we
says,
love it.
if humans really were responsible for unsustainable hunting of Australia's megafauna, we'd expect to find a lot more evidence of hunting and butchering in the fossil record. Instead, all we ever had as hard evidence was this one bone. And now we have strong evidence that the cut wasn't made while the animal was alive. Which is
or
not
even
to say,
freshly dead.
Yeah, which is not to say that first peoples never ate megafauna. We're talking thousands of years. It was a food source,
and they were very clever.
And the
kind of humans'
cultural
whole thing.
differences through time and space of first peoples on the Australian continent has been so varied that surely at some point someone's hunted or eaten giant eggs
impressive.
or hunted something or whatever it may have been. But it is a strong piece of evidence taken out of the pile that supports this idea that first peoples were a significant driver of the extinction of those megafauna, and swings the dial even further into the category, into the explanation that it was climate-driven shifts that caused those extinctions. And that's what I got for you, Max.
Hell yeah.
Good. Okay.
So sick.
Oh no, I'm gonna do a Max and I'm not gonna be able to say a word and it's gonna sound really dumb.
You tune into 4 You tune into 4 Triple Z, and this show is No Idea with me, Max. We got Gabe, we got Peter.
Who do we have?
Petey.
Shut up.
Two on the nose.
Issy, what have you got for us?
Oh, have I got something for you? All right. Who here has ever had a kidney stone?
Not yet.
None.
No.
Yeah.
Not that I know of
fully,
anyway.
100% no one here has had a kidney stone.
No.
Well,
How common are they? Do you think
know.
1 in 4 people have had one?
I'm going to pass to the text line. Give us your best or your worst kidney stone story, because I'm about to dive into something that could potentially fix it. I'm talking about kidney stones because snake pee may be the key to ending these nasty piss stones and gout pain as well.
Snake pee.
Snake pee. Published in the Journal of American Chemical Society, researchers from the American Chemical Society examined the solid urine of more than 20 different reptile species to understand what snakes know that we don't.
Yeah, snakes have weird pee.
They do.
They have really weird pee.
Unfortunately,
it's like solid and white.
I looked up a video to understand what we were dealing with, and it is pretty gross.
It's not great.
It's nearly
Gabe, you
lunchtime.
have a snake, don't you?
We have a snake.
Yeah,
we
you
have a
guys have-
snake, and he. Whenever we give him food, and then he's finished with his food, I swear to God, I just call it poop because it's all solid, but it comes out at once, right? Like he doesn't pee and then poo; it all comes out at once as one package. He does it like 3 times. I swear, there's like more excrement than the mice.
You'll see a similar thing in bird poop, which is something we probably have a better mental image of, because obviously there is that evolutionary link. 60-something or more million years ago with reptiles and birds. So you'll see the black stuff, and then there's that white little gack with it as well.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. That's
Except
that
in
urea
snakes.
paste and stuff. And in snakes, it's just a paste because they're extreme, especially in Australian snakes, I should say, because they're doing extreme water conservation.
Yes, I was going to say that. Jumping ahead on mine, whilst us humans choose to expel our excess nitrogen in the beta way of flushing it through urine as uric acid, ura, and ammonia, the alpha Chad-based reptiles turn those same nitrogen compounds into solids. Scientists believe this solid form of waste evolved as an adaptation to conserve water, obviously, especially in your dry environments like deserts and lovely Australia. Obviously, rocks in the bladder is not a good thing in human beings. If you didn't need me to tell you that.
Highly recommended, no.
No, crystals can collect in the joints, leading to gout, or as we have just discussed, form in the urinary tract as kidney stones. Researchers use powerful microscopes to examine these sorts of crystals in species like ball pythons, Angolan pythons, and Madagascan tree boas, and found that their pea crystals were made up of tiny textured spheres between 1 to 10 micrometers across, built from smaller nanocrystals made up of uric acid and water. They found that uric acid transforms ammonia into a safer solid form, and they said that with further research, it could help humans develop better treatments for uric acid-related diseases.
So I'm imagining in the future, sometime in the future, what they've done is if you're like having chronic uric acid problems, they remove your bladder and they give you something so that you end up having snake poop.
Yeah,
Right.
we might need to take that one back to the drawing board, Peter.
You don't think people are going to be excited about that?
I think
We've just talked about how efficient it is.
yes, I think you should stick to marine science.
There are sea snakes.
Oh my goodness.
Shove a marine sponge in there. Okay.
Help you out.
But yes, super interesting because I have unfortunately heard my fair share of kidney stone stories from family and friends, and they do not sound pleasant. Knock on wood, I never want to experience one. So anything that can help relieve that was incredible.
Yeah.
So,
But to be clear, they're not saying go find snake pee.
do not ingest
Do
snake
not
pee
do that.
because Peter, you mentioned something off air that Max immediately was like, we're turning the mics on, and I had to pretend to be normal about, which included a person ingesting snake pee. That is a whole different matter.
Yeah, don't do it. A couple of months ago, there was a story, or maybe it was last year even, where someone had a worm in their brain, and it turned out that it was because it had been transferred through snake pee. They were just in the bush, but it's just about, like, if you're around snakes, wash your hand. Really bad stuff going on in their digestive systems.
I'm so happy 4ZZZ approved our show application for another 6 months.
Already.
Yeah, recently.
And we're going to push
still
it
on.
as far as possible. So
We're
yeah.
uncancelable. I'm giving out good health advice here. Don't touch snake pee.
Kidney Health Australia says 1 in 10 Australian men and 1 in 35 Australian females will develop a kidney stone at some point throughout their life. So I think, ouch, definitely. But I think statistically, a very good thing that neither of the four of us had it. Otherwise, we would have to go get 4ZZZ's water tested.
Yes.
Is this about gamma rays?
Nothing to do with gamma rays, Max. It's about...
So no.
What? Max, every story. Is this about gamma rays?
Is this about gamma rays or robot dogs, please?
Yeah.
Can it be? Can we change it now?
We need to do more on robot dogs. You tune into 4ZZZ, and the show is No Idea, a great 4ZZZ science show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. with me, Max, Issy, Peter, and Gabe.
I've got some new science for you, Max. Recently released stuff on smoothies and why bananas may not be the best thing to mix into your smoothie to get the maximum health benefits out of it. They found that bananas have a very high level of, or quite high level of, polyphenol oxidase, which is an enzyme found naturally in many fruits and vegetables. It plays a role in why a lot of fruits go brown and interact with oxygen.
Oh, cool.
Banana
in the
bread.
air. Yeah, but if you're going for flavanols, which are found in a lot of fruits and are known to support blood flow, memory, reduce inflammation, do good things like that. It's one of those good bits that you want in a lot of fruit.
Yeah.
They found that because the PPO stuff in bananas is so high, when you blend it into a smoothie with something like berries that have a lot of the flavanols, it actually neutralizes how much your body's taking up. So they recommend mixing in other stuff like pineapple, oranges, mango, and yogurt if you're going for stuff like berries in your smoothies.
Split your bananas and your
Not to say
berries.
bananas
Even though
are bad.
bananas are a berry, let's be clear. Split your banana smoothies with berry smoothies. They are a berry.
Okay,
Fun fact.
I'll take your word on that. But berries with pineapple, oranges, mango, and yogurt, and bananas on their own. But Max, you know what's never affected the health content of my smoothies?
No, it hasn't affected.
No, what
It's the
hasn't?
smooth tunes on 4ZZZ.
I was waiting for it.
Cringing.
And you know what makes your smoothies better? Wonderful, fresh science on No Idea.
Absolutely
I reckon
right,
some of that
Peter.
that fresh science would be putting the smoothie on that picnic table along with that 4-cheese pizza and see what the lizards go for.
Yeah. We'll let you know. We're the show to let you know which lizards prefer banana.
And if you want to hear
You won't get that anywhere else. You'll only get it on 4ZZZ.
And you need to subscribe to keep us around so you'll hear that interesting science in a couple of years' time. Go to our website at 4zzz.org.au/support. You can subscribe if you're under 18 for $25. You can subscribe your pet for $25. Your concession is $40. A full subscription for the whole year is $80. A passionate subscriber, $140. And a super sub, get your name written in gold ink downstairs for $500. Issy.
And of course, it is the week of the spooky season, and we have a very appropriate gift if you do subscribe. It is not a 4-cheese pizza or bananas in your smoothies. It is
It might be lizards.
Might be lizards. No lizard pee though. It is a prize pack from Berserk, who is Australia's largest alternative online store, who are based in Brisbane, which is so delightful. They have got you all stocked up for Friday with a prize pack valued over $500. So if you subscribe, you'll go in the running for one of those. And those types of sponsors and yourselves, like subscribers, keep us on air so we can keep telling you all this funky science. I nearly said goss, but science as well.
It is goss. Science is goss.
Science is just
the
goss.
freshest gossip, actually, and it's the freshest, most reliable gossip. This is the show where we tell you fresh, reliable gossip. It's No Idea with a Science Show.
Now, we had a text in on 0420662733. Marky texted in and they said, bananas are a herb. God damn it. So I asked Gemini, and Gemini comes back with, a banana is considered a fruit that grows on a banana plant, which is technically a large herb. So there you go.
So it's a berry on a herb.
Yeah, it's a berry on a herb. Banana, the plant, is a herb. The berry is the fruit of the banana. Cool, bananas are berries.
And you should not mix your bananas with your other berries in your smoothies.
Yeah.
Unless you want to. Do whatever you want. I'm not going to knock it.
You know what? This just in. Who cares about science? Do whatever
I
you
do that
want.
all the time. I'm not going to let it stop me.
Okay.
Who cares about science? Not us.
I think this whole show is a science experiment.
All right, yeah, let's just get into the science. Our safe place.
Triple Z.
We want to appeal to your senses.
We just got a text in from Wave.
Oh, continuing the banana controversy. Banana is a grass, which suits it being a berry like a wheat berry. There are multiple I didn't realize we were cracking open a Pandora's box of banana discourse here on No Idea on 4ZZZ. I'm going to pass this over to you, Max.
No idea. Space.
Please don't say it involves bananas.
On this day.
Bananas in space.
Well,
Can you put a berry in space?
We sent chimps up there, so probably did. Okay, on this day in 1998, the Space Shuttle Discovery blasted off with the then 77-year-old John Glenn on board, making him the oldest person ever to go into space. Gilmore Space, the Gold Coast rocket company, only managed a 14-second flight back in July this year with their Eris rocket. Suffice to say, it did not reach orbit. Despite the setback, the Test Flight 1 mission laid the foundation for sovereign launch from Australian soil, according to Adam Gilmore, CEO and co-founder of Gilmore Space Technologies, speaking at the IAC in Sydney recently. He says, "We are going to be launching again next year. We're going to be doing more launch attempts, so we're not going to give up. Now, with infrastructure in place and having worked with regulators, the company is plotting its return to flight in 2026.
Ooh.
That's it for my space news this week.
I've been beavering away, Max, on the keyboard trying to figure out bananas in space.
The key thing that we actually care about.
There was a chimpanzee called Ham who was sent up on 1961, I believe, who apparently learned to pull levers to receive banana pellets.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
I've just read the rest of that sentence. Not great. 1960s was a bad time.
Electric shocks is a disincentive, but banana pellets were the incentive.
Right.
Banana pellets. Okay.
Pellets.
Yeah.
Just like nuggets of banana.
Yeah, nuggets of banana. Hopefully not mixed in with berries, because then poor old Ham wouldn't have gotten the flavanols in between the electric shocks.
Which is clearly super important.
Everyone at the station knows which show's the most appreciated. It's obviously this one. Uncancelable. That's what I love to say about us. Everything we do, everything we say, everything we've ever put online, uncancelable.
Yeah. You tune into 4ZZZ, and the show is No Idea, but not for much longer. Sign us out, Gabe.
It is all we have time for this week. This banana-loaded show was brought to you thanks to all of the subscribers to 4ZZZ. You can join them at 4ZZZ.org.au, which is also where you can listen back to the full recording of this show with all the music in it, as well as a bunch of our previous shows. The condensed version, without all the music, just with us yapping away, is available on your podcasting platform of choice. So search up No Idea 4ZZZ. That's No with a K. No Idea 4ZZZ. We'll be back in your ears next week. Between now and then, give Foster King a go. Consider early early investing in mushroom data centers, but don't actually do that. Keep an eye out for sexy sponges and don't eat snake excrement.
And we'll speak to you next week.
Later.
See ya.
I'm a goddamn marvel of modern science.